half the girls in my school busted their hymen on a goddamn trampoline. You know what I mean?
Or a
like
horse, yeah.
A horse. And back then, dude, they was lousy with horses. All they did.
Horses everywhere.
Like, dude, I've ridden a horse. I promise you, if I had a hymen, it'd have busted. It'd have busted immediately.
What's up, everybody? Here we are. It's Puttin on Airs, not in the virtual Airstream studios. I'm at my in-laws' place at the major metropolitan area of Wayne County, Tennessee, one of the reddest, most rural parts of the state of Tennessee, southwest middle, in case you were wondering. Holidays here at the in-laws. At the moment, it's relative peace. You may hear a general cacophony of screaming children at any point over the course of this episode. I apologize. Also, I've actually put a little bit of effort, a very tiny amount of effort into putting together, just moving some stuff around that was behind me, because in the wide shot you could see all that, and now on the actual episode you can't see none of it, so I wasted my time doing that. But here's a little Walmart 18-wheeler that was just in this room, bunch of Snoopy stuff. Snoopy
Precious moments,
I guess so. Then we got an ET back here.
Nice.
It's not making a lot of sense to me. I guess it's just, my wife and her sisters are old. Well, not all of them. I put this, we got the World War II veterans of Wayne County, Tennessee.
God, that's thick.
It is thick, right? This is a small town. I guess they all get their good. No, dude. I was going to say, it's like, I bet every one of them gets a bunch of pages and stuff, but no, they don't. They don't even get a whole page.
Wow.
Man, dude. This really is kind of putting some shit in perspective for me.
Crazy.
I'm not going I just took it for granted, because Katie's great grandfather, who died a couple years ago at the age of 100, he was like, I think at fucking he stormed some beach. He was a beach stormer. Like, he was in the real shit. But anyway, so I saw this book in here and I didn't think nothing of it, because I knew about him and him fighting the Nazis and all that, but I didn't even pay attention or think about how thick it is.
I was going to say, as soon as you turned it around, it immediately hit me, and I was like, holy shit, dude.
It's crazy. I mean, it's wild that just, because I'm telling y'all, Wayne County is tiny. It's about almost as tiny as Salina is. And if you'd asked me how many people from Salina fought in World War II, I would have said, I don't know, 40.
They use Salina people as target practice, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Just digging the poop holes. That's what we're good for. But anyway, Happy New Year, everybody. It's 2025. I'm sure it's not going to be hellish or nothing like that. It's sure to be fun. Things are going to continue to trend upward as a society. But yeah, we're recording this on New Year's Day. It's brand new, just a tiny little baby, 2025. But how's yours going?
Man, it's
good.
Eat the
stuff?
Yeah, I did the stuff. My mom normally does all the cooking, but we celebrated her birthday today. Her birthday's the day after Christmas, which just don't hit, and everybody was worn out, and she didn't even want to do it. So I said, "Hey, how about we do this? Let's all take a week break, and on January 1st, since we're going to be together anyways, we'll make that your birthday, and me and Kirby will cook all the stuff, and you don't have to do nothing." She's like, "That'd be lovely." So I got to be in charge of the mashed potatoes, the black-eyed peas, and the cornbread. And I got to say, your boy knocked it out of the park. I did them, of course, I did them beans, a 12-hour soak in a little bean brine situation. And then I cooked them in a chicken stock with also some sauteed onion BTB in that sumbitch.
Nice.
Garlic, all that stuff, bacon, grease, fat back, all that stuff. Fire. It was very good. I mean, to me, everybody was going on and on about how good it was. To me, my mama's is still better just because it's my mama doing it. But, me and Kirby brought our A games. That was a lot of fun. But yeah, so far, so good. Dude, Kirby, speaking of which, I wanted to mention this to you. Kirby brought up a thing to me today that kind of blew my mind. Like, first off, the biggest, I guess, New Year's Eve and Times Square are sort of like synonymous with each other. Like, that's the thing that everybody is like, oh, I'd like to do it just once. I wouldn't.
Kill me with a spoon. I'd like nothing. I'd rather do less than that, because they ain't no bathrooms you can access. No. You can't move. Yeah, right.
Get a drink.
I'm serious. I would have a panic attack. Yeah. I don't know how or why people do that. It seems horrible. If you're rich, there's you can hook it up to where you're you're not down there amongst the rabble, and you're present, but it's like you have some space and amenities and stuff. And now that, whatever, I mean, even then, I don't even care about doing that, but I would do that. But like the regular peasant version, no, ain't no way.
No, dude. I mean, and I remember just watching it when I was a kid, I guess, before you really understand how truly detestable humanity is and thinking like, oh, that's cool. That'd be a fun thing to do. And it really set in for me, like when I moved to New York and I just went to Times Square on like a regular day, like just a day that was normal. And I remember the first time I ever went to Times Square, I had a show in Times Square, and I got off my first paying gig in New York ever, which was a big deal to me. Like it was a really big deal. It was only $50, but like, hey, I've done something. I get off the train, I look out, and I realize I'm having to walk through all of this just to get to the place. And I swear on my life, I about got back on the train and just texted them, been like, yo, I'm sick, can't go.
I don't remember where I was going, but the first time in my life I ever went to Times Square, I went there completely on accident. I was just going somewhere else in Midtown and was just walking and looking at my GPS, whatever, and almost bumped into like a heroin-addicted Spider-Man or whatever. Yeah. Which I say, to be fair, that's the heroin-addicted part. That's more of a Hollywood Boulevard thing. Hollywood's got all those characters, cosplayers and stuff too, but they're way more Skid Row-y in Hollywood. But anyway, whatever. I almost bumped into some type of Spider-Man, and then I looked up and I was like, holy shit, I'm in Times Square. I've never even been here, but I just happened, and it don't hit. And that actually, because we brought up Times Square, it leads directly into one of the things I want to talk about. One thing I've never thought about in my life until this morning, but like, when you think of the people, and this is unfair, I'm putting you on the spot, but when you think of the people in Times Square on New Year's, like when you picture how they are attired, like the various things that they have or wear, what's some of the things that pop into your head? Like you got the little like, pew, like the things you blow and
yeah, and I'm looking at like how they're wearing. I look at a bunch of puffy jackets with the fur around the collar with like a white little toboggan situation and their scarves. Like it's all white women out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I don't mean because of the cold or just how they're dressed because of that. I mean because of the day itself, the holiday. Like I said, the little horns you blow, the
glasses that say 2000. Yeah,
exactly. Those glasses. I never thought about those in my life. But they've been present for most of my life, right? And we all know what we're talking New Year's novelty glasses where, you know, the eye holes are numbers in the year, right? And it's like
in the 2000s, they worked perfect.
Exactly. Well, see, they had a real heyday, a real like glory days period in the 2000s because it couldn't have been more perfect. The eye holes was the zeros in the 2000s. But that was a big moneymaker for a lot of people, and they didn't want to let it go, so they're still like trying to hang on. So like there was some for 2025, and it just don't work. You know, it's like they try to put it in the like in the big part of the two. Yeah, but it's all they won't let it go. Big New Year's glasses can't let go of this cash cow they've had, but. And that was just funny and also kind of sad or whatever when I saw some pictures of people earlier wearing the 2025 versions looking real dumb and not hitting. But that got me to like think about
1990s also worked too.
Exactly. So then I started thinking in your head, when did those like start? If you think about when those started, when was it?
Honestly, I would say because it would have to be a newer thing because it's back in the old days, you couldn't mass produce novelty glasses. That wouldn't be a thing that you did. And to me, it would be like, I guess in the 80s, because the 9 and the 8 could have worked. I could see in the 80s were all about those loud, stupid, trendy fashion things. So like, to me, it would have started in the 80s. I'm certain that I'm wrong. I'm certain that it was before.
So actually, no, it wasn't before. In my head, like you just said something about the 90s. You're like, oh, the 90s would have worked too. But in my head, I don't remember anybody ever wearing them.
I don't either.
Before the year 2000, the millennium, like to me, that's when that like started. And, you know, also that is the biggest New Year's has or ever been or ever will be was the year for good reason. It's a new millennium.
Right.
But like, Y2K and you know party like it's 1999 and those glasses that was like absolutely that was New Year's prime.
All the Christians thought they were going to heaven.
Yeah, yes, I thought I was going to hell, even though I was only like 14. I was like, you know, God would still be like that. But I looked it up and I found out the origin story of those, and it gets pretty raven. But to be fair to them, they saw it coming. It's two guys in Seattle named Richard Sclafani and Peter Cicero. So shout out to them. Finally get their due a little bit here on this, how this, hugely popular nationwide program of ours. So finally get the recognition they deserve. They were from Seattle. They were musicians, like playing in bars and stuff. Obviously not hitting.
Yeah, you said Seattle.
Right, yeah, and musicians. It goes without saying. But they still had day jobs and shit. But what they didn't pass the time naturally, I think they were roommates in an apartment, and they just get real high every night and just like talk about stoner shit and doodle stuff and like just be like, wouldn't it be crazy, man, if like that type of thing. One of them was just fucking around and drew the number 2000. And then he put like irises. Yeah. No, not frames, just eyeballs. So he made a cartoon out of it. He drew the year 2000 and made a cartoon out of it by making the zeros eyes, but he didn't put glasses on or whatever. And the other guy was like, "Oh shit, dude. You know what? Like, he's like, picture it now. Times Square, year 2000. Turn the millennium, like make glasses out of these. Like we'll make a fortune, right?" Yeah. This was in 1991 when they thought of this.
Wow.
And at first they were like, we're going to have to just sit on this for 9 years.
Of course.
Right? There's no other option. But then they realized what you realized earlier. It's like, oh, wait, the 90s, that works too.
Yeah, of course.
Like the zeros at the top of the nines. So they went and patented. Apparently, patents for design only last 14 years.
That's why Coke kept changing their bottle.
Okay, that makes sense. So they went and patented every year through 2005, 1991 to 2005 or whatever, because that was as much as they could do. And then they like made a prototype. They made a prototype to get the patent, and then they like ran up $30,000 in credit card debt to print what's the word? How do you have stuff made? Fabricate?
Sure.
Had fabricated.
Manufactured?
Yeah, manufactured, like a few boxes of them in 1991, took samples, like one each, and just mailed them. Like, this is 91. There's no, like, fucking Craigslist or any kind of, like, stuff like that. They just mailed samples to, like, casinos and stuff like that, just, like, taking a flyer on it. They said they went to every casino they could find in this country and had their phone number on it and stuff, and they immediately started getting calls from the casinos. There's like, these are great.
Right.
We cater to idiots. Idiots will love this shit. Send us.
They love needing to know what year it is.
Yeah. Send us 500, and it worked. They started making money, and for the first, and then they just kept doing that every year, making more and more, selling more and more, and making more and more money. I think he said by like 1996 or 97, he had like 100 people working for him, just packaging glasses orders. Right. They were selling tens of thousands.
Cheap as hell, and they only have to last for one day.
Right. But this whole time in their heads, they're like, but
2000.
The big kahuna. Yes, right. Like, we're doing good, things are building, but like our fucking Super Bowl is the year 2000. This is when these things are going to really go over the top. And so they were planning for that the whole time. And I don't want to make it sound like they didn't anticipate this. They did worry about this happening. But what is real raving about the universe and Superdome hit is by the time the year 2000 got here, and in the year 2000, China had found out about this.
And they don't recognize our patents.
Not even a little bit, not even at all. They had started making knockoff versions of these and shipping them to America and selling them for a tenth of the already low price. So selling them for fucking nothing.
China's glasses should have to spell out the word rat or dragon or something like that. They shouldn't be able to do numbers.
It is true. That is how they do it, ain't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think obviously they know our years. They use our years. Yeah, right. But they also have animal years, which is cool. But anyway, that happened in the year 2000. So like, because of that, and they said that like, they saw that coming, but they had loyal, all these casinos and retail stores and places in Times Square and all this stuff. that they had been selling to for almost a decade straight. That they
surely
thought
those people honored their contracts.
That's what they said. They were like, we thought this might happen, but I guess we were still naive because we thought these people would be loyal to us. But literally none of them were. Even their like neighborhood stores in Seattle, like the first places they ever sold to.
That's rough.
They fucked them over and bought from China instead. And in the year 2000, the year they've been building to and building toward and looking forward to for
Endgame.
almost 10 years, they ended up having to just dump like 100,000 glasses in a landfill somewhere because they couldn't get rid of them. And then the knockoff genie was out of the bottle, and they never really got it back after that. And they said that one of them died like 9 years ago or something. You know, you'll have that.
Yeah.
But the other guy, he tries to spin it like Sclafani. That one, he's the one that's still alive, and he tries to spin it like you know, either way, no matter where they bought them from, if they brought the Chinese knockoff version or whatever, like we still, through our invention and our idea, brought joy to billions of people around the world.
They left an indelible mark on culture that's very stupid.
Yes, I agree. It is very stupid. They mentioned that in the article too, about how they got a lot, even from the very beginning, they got a lot of criticism from people being like, what is cheap fucking bullshit is this? Is people are like, this is such like late stage capitalism. It's just bullshit plastic that has no use. That's meant just to sell for fucking nothing to rubes to make a quick buck and then go in the trash. It's like they were catching that shit from the very beginning.
In the 90s,
even in the 90s. Yeah. And these guys are like stoner Seattle hippie musicians.
Dude, good for them.
Dudes.
I mean, like, obviously it sucks that they ended up getting fucked over, but like, they made way more than anyone should on that dumb of an idea, you know?
Yes, I agree.
Well, what I was going to say was that...
you never even said what you were going to say about Times Square.
I don't care. I love it. I was just using it to set up so you know, like when the ball drops or whatever, there's like all that like fucking 300,000 pounds of confetti and shit like falls everywhere, right? And you know, not even thinking about who has to clean it up, which we'll talk about that later, I guess. But like, did you know that they still do that by hand? Like, that's not a machine.
What do you mean?
They've got motherfuckers just up in them windows, just flower girl and confetti out and shit. Like, I swear to God, bruh. Kirby showed me the video today, fam. I swear to God, this one motherfucker, hold up. Let me see. 3,000 pounds of confetti on Times Square is this dude, Treb Henning. In 1991, he was asked to create an effect that would transform the New Year's ball drop in Times Square. In response, he created the confetti blizzard that consists of...
telling me that both the confetti blizzard and the year of our Lord eyeglasses were invented in 1991.
1991.
Big year for New Year's.
Big year, bro.
91 was.
So he created the
paradigm shift.
The confetti blizzard that consists of 80 trusted volunteers to disperse confetti by hand from the rooftops of Times Square. For the past 33 years, he's still in charge of it. They still do it. It's now it's from 100% recycled material that would otherwise be discarded. And it's also all biodegradable in the event that they can't get all of it. But like, yes, there's no machine. It's 80 volunteers at specific locations up there just chunking confetti. And like, I got to tell you, I thought the machines were coming for us. They ain't even taken the confetti man's job yet.
But see, because I thought the exact same thing immediately, but you covered it in the course of describing that. It ain't a job. Like
they're volunteers.
That's why they're volunteers.
Right.
I thought
that's
the same
why they
thing.
Don't have a machine.
I thought the exact same thing you did. I was like, everybody's all worried about AI and robots and stuff. I was like, if these dudes' jobs ain't been taken by some kind of fucking, trash throwing machine, then I'm not that worried about it. But then you said they were all volunteers. I was like, well, yeah, it's much cheaper to have a volunteer than it is to, commission a confetti throwing machine.
Right.
But yeah, that's pretty wild.
Going back to what you were saying though, like being in time, like I just literally can't imagine anything worse because Amber was even talking about it. Like when she, Amber's like, that kind of seems like it would be her thing. But then she found out like you literally can't move. And like, unless you just like put a bunch of seltzers in your jacket, like you can't even get a drink. You can't go pee. It's not like you can get food. So like, to me, it's like, who in the fuck literally thinks like standing in one spot is worth for eight something hours, like
more
hours,
than that,
bro.
and it's like 10, 12 hours or something if you want like a good spot.
How, like, again, I know there's certain things where you go like, well, it's for, it's an experience, but not a good one though. Like usually those experiences are like, it's a good like, dude, being cramped in at the Masters or whatever and walking the course for a long time is kind of strenuous, but like you're getting to see golf, you can go pee, there's an egg sandwich. Like like those are the most neurotypical individuals are the only people who could do that. Cause like I said, I'd feel like I was in a straitjacket.
Yeah, I mean, I literally, what do people bring bottles and stuff that they pee in? I mean, I know like Bonnaroo and shit.
Or diapers.
People do that. It has to be something like that.
Yeah.
Dude, there's no way. I mean, I know your ass, you wouldn't make it 60 minutes without just the peeing part, let alone
And dude, let me tell you something about diapers. Cause I'll be wearing them when we be doing stuff. Like after 2.5 pees, you need a new diaper. You know what I mean? Like you can't just pee in a diaper all goddamn the same diaper, Like I guess some of them have those like, you've seen the beer belly things where it's like a condom you put on your wiener and then you pee in those. But like, again, listen to what we're saying. Like who on earth would want to have, like, what are you doing? Like what's going on here? You know what I mean? Like I get it. If like you're at a Bruce Springsteen concert and you gotta pee and he's going for 3.5 hours and you're like, fuck it, I'll pee on myself. Whatever. That's one thing. But like, you're just standing in Times Square and not shit is going, bro. Last night, so I only watched literally 2 minutes of the New Year's Eve stuff because I was watching Hamilton before because I don't care about nothing. But I always want to watch the ball drop because I got to get up and give Amber a smooch, And so I watched the last 2 minutes. By the way, I'm happy for him, but it was really. Did you watch any of it?
I brought the boys upstairs to watch the last 10 minutes for the ball drop. But we're in Central Time, so like when I was a kid in Middle Tennessee in Central Time, I remember vividly what they put it on a tape delay, and we saw the New York feed, Times Square with the ball, whatever.
An hour later.
Well, last night, at least, I guess they have stopped doing that because last night we saw Chicago's New Year's thing.
Well, that's cool.
Because they're Central Time, and we saw it happen live, but we didn't see Times Square in the ball. We were watching Chicago's feed. But them fat fucking Polish sausage eating pieces of shit, from what I could tell. And I was just there. Beautiful city, by the way. But I don't think they even had a ball or nothing.
Of course
they
not.
just like counted down. And then because my mother-in-law told me that Nashville does a big music note, I guess on the Backman building or whatever.
Jelly Roll did it.
So it's like if Nashville can drop something, then Chicago can drop something. You know what I'm saying? Fucking like a swollen heart or whatever they want.
Basketball and have like the Bulls theme song. That
would be sweet.
That'd be rad as fuck.
Real bad, but that would be
you put
funny.
up 90s Bulls stuff. You know what I mean?
But anyway, so there was no. I'm only saying that so you know that there was no ball dropping or nothing. It was just a countdown and then like, woo, Happy New Year.
Right.
But I brought the boys upstairs for that. Got Katie to put it on. Me, Katie, her mom, and the boys were all sitting there as it went down. I was like, we got to watch the ball drop. We got, it's New Year's Eve. It's what you do, whatever. And then it happened, they counted down. And then the people on TV are like, yeah, whatever. And me and Katie were like, yeah, Happy New Year. And Bishop and Bette were like, wow, cool. That was totally worth it.
Yeah.
Glad I watched that. I feel so different. Like they were like, what is the point? And I even told him, I was like, when you're a little older and you're in your 20s, you go to parties and shit with a bunch of people and everybody watches that and freaks out. It's like, it's kind of cool, but yeah, if you're just sitting at home, there ain't no point.
No, I mean, I completely agree, which is why, again, I turned it on at the last 2 minutes because it's just sort of like, it was just me and Amber, and I was like, I'll give her a kiss at New Year's. It's just, it's those little stupid traditions that mean nothing that actually mean something somehow, whatever. But I'm not watching the whole goddamn show, but as soon as I turn it on, there's 2 minutes. Seacrest is up there like having to filibuster because you can tell he's out of shit, right? And he's just got to fill it for the next 2 minutes. And then all of a sudden he goes, oh my God, the ball's about to drop. Look who we've got here, everybody. It's Carrie Underwood. And it's like, okay, Carrie Underwood's a huge star. And TLC. And I'm like, wait, what? Now, by the way, I love TLC. Number one, it's just TC now. I believe, because
Right. Well, that's that's the first thing I thought.
gone,
I was like, there ain't no L. Yeah.
No L. It's just, but you can't be saying here's TC. That'd be weird. But they're like it's TLC, and of course, dude. I mean, T-Boz and Chili still look good. Don't get me wrong. And I'm not saying that they don't deserve their flowers. I'm just like but they're the last before the TLC. Like, what the fuck have they done? Like, I promise you, most people, like, it was just people my age that were like, oh, it's TLC. Like, everybody else was like, what the fuck is this? But it was wild. Like, they wasn't even promoting nothing. Or maybe I missed something. Like, is TLC hot again or TC?
I mean, not that I'm aware of. But, I mean, they do that. I think that especially those types of things, people that watch the television broadcast, I think, it's a lot of old people and stuff. And
that's
it's funny,
true.
TLC, like, caters to old people now or whatever, but it is true. Oh, they didn't? That's right. No. That's something I was going to say. You said Carrie Underwood and TLC, and I was like, did they, like, do a thing together?
Ryan Seacrest just filibustered for, like, a minute and a half asking them what they wanted in the new year, and Carrie Underwood was like, more Jesus, more family, and I'm like, and I don't know what TC said, but I was thinking, I'll tell you this. Now, again, I was glad to see him on TV. It was just weird to me because, like, I don't know how it was for you, but, like, for me, TLC was, like, a huge part of my sexual awakening as a child.
Okay.
Because Crazy Sexy Cool came out, like, right when my dick turned on. You know what I mean?
Sure. And for me, it was mostly, I always chalk it up primarily to Xena Warrior Princess. It wasn't. Lucy Lawless was.
It's not like my dick was one and done. I mean, he liked all that stuff, but I think TLC was what made me realize I had the fever. You know what I mean? Or something like that. Or that or that, like, oh, I'm not racist. I'm into this. But I always thought they were super hot, but it was just wild. I don't know. It was just wild. I was not expecting to see TLC or TC or whatever. But yeah, no, look, when Dick Clark did it, it was like cool because I guess it was like the OG or whatever. But now Andy and Anderson seem to have a good time. There's a lot of clips going viral from them dudes they let them get drunk again.
What do you mean?
Well, and so Andy Cohen and Anderson Cooper, they do that New Year's show, and their whole thing was that they got drunk, and then the broadcast company was like, "Hey, next year y'all ain't getting drunk. You can't do that." So they didn't, and like the fans rioted. They were like, "What the fuck? It's only fun when they're hammered." So finally, they reneged, and they were like, "Y'all can get drunk." And boy, they got drunker than ever. Like Anderson Cooper, bruh, he took a shot, and the camera stays on him, and he literally was like he was getting a warm spit. You know what I mean? He was like about to fucking puke on air. It was pretty funny.
I didn't even know that's the CNN version.
I guess you didn't know Andy and Anderson did it. It's like, I think it's like the most popular one now. I mean, I think the Ryan Seacrest is the one that everybody naturally turns on, but the one that people talk about is
Ryan Seacrest was he took over for Dick Clark, right? New Year's Rockin' Eve.
Yeah.
New Year's right. Yeah, well, that's one that used to be like the one, obviously, and that's one everybody like grew up on.
Numbers wise, I'm sure it still is. But
I just never went to. I fell out, dude. I bet for 15 of the last 17 New Year's Eves, I've been asleep before midnight, probably.
I've never watched it. I just see the clips.
Right. Well, so I'm saying, I've just fallen completely out of that. And on the rare occasion I do want to watch it, I just turn on the same one from, the Seacrest one. Just No, I did not know that there was a drunken CNN version of it. But
yes, there's a drunken CNN version. It's where Whitney Cummings made a lot of waves last night because she did like a roast of 2024, but mainly just talked about how much Kamala don't hit and Biden don't hit or whatever. And our boy Roy Wood Jr. was on there, and this is you. And now you're probably not going to get this joke, but like, so back when they was drinking real heavily on the show, Don Lemon that's how he got fired. Like
that's how he got fired.
He said some stuff and so last night Roy goes on there and they offer Roy a shot, and he goes, last black guy to drink on here got fired. I ain't doing that shit.
Okay.
But anyways, that's the one that's like I said, numbers wise, you're not beating the NBC broadcast or whatever. But as far as like popular culture and the zeitgeist, the Andy and Anderson one always like, it does more like social media hits or whatever. It's more of like a party. But no, I ain't paying attention. I mean, dude, there was ball games on, and I was trying to watch Hamilton and stuff. But like, to me, the only way New Year's would be, I would enjoy it, is if I had a small party at my house where everybody's in the room. We've got a fire going. And I have like a live string band playing Auld Lang Syne. Like that would be cool. Or like somebody on a grand piano just playing Auld Lang Syne, and we were drinking like hot buttered rums and sweaters, hanging out with the kids and stuff. I could see the, basically like the end of It's a Wonderful Life. That seems fun to me, but as it used to be just an excuse to get drunk and stuff, like I like New Year's Day a lot more than I like New Year's Eve. And we've talked about this because of the food,
Yeah. Food, football, and all that stuff. Was that confetti thing? Was that This Week in Fancy, or is there different This Week in Fancy?
That was no, I've got another one. That was This Week in Fancy, but I do have another one. So fucking This Week in Fancy, police seek 19 people after Glasgow football chaos. The police have released images of 19 people that they want to speak to about a large-scale disturbance before the Scottish League Cup final. Even on Christmas, these fucking hooligans, man.
It was Christmas Day?
No, it wasn't Christmas. No, it was actually December 15th. But
okay.
The reason I thought it was Christmas is because of the pictures. Here's the deal. They were all these dudes were wearing Santa hats. Santa hats and face coverings, charging down Argyle Street and setting off a bunch of flares, right? Which flares, flares don't hit, but it's whatever. It's a flare. But then also they're like bum rushing all these shoppers and stuff. One of the football fans is like beating some dude on the ground. Then they set off another flare and like hit a lady or something like that. Also
for what? Why?
Well, there was a football
their
game.
Team won, or their team lost, or it don't even matter.
I think it was. No, I don't think it matters. I think it was before the game, bro.
Yeah, it's just getting. That's how they tailgate. That's how they tailgate.
They hadn't even got to the game yet.
Christmas shoppers, yeah.
Yeah, so they were on their way to the game, and I guess they were like, "The fuck are all these people doing shopping? The foot is on."
Get down to the stadium. What's wrong with you?
Right. So. They start beating the shit out of all these holiday shoppers and whatnot, and start shooting flares at them, and that's just.
You said that was in Glasgow.
Yeah,
that's Glasgow's reputation, right? What our tour guide tell us is the saying over there about Glasgow and Edinburgh. You'll have shit. What was it? It was something like. God damn it! I can't remember it.
Look it up.
I'm gonna try to look it up. It has something to do with like a Glasgow wedding versus an Edinburgh knife fight or something like that.
Yes, it was something like that. You'd rather go to an Edinburgh knife fight than a Glasgow wedding or something like that.
Let's see here. God damn it. No, I don't know. Fill some time.
Okay, I will. Trae, would you like to know how to cheat on a virginity test?
Who's giving virginity test?
Back in the Middle Ages, Trae.
Yeah, and also T.I. You remember that, right?
Oh, yeah, man. Holy shit. Yeah. That went away real quick because that was like, I love T.I.
Dude, some of these rappers is Teflon, dog. They got that Donald Trump.
Yeah, their base don't give a shit.
The number one is obviously Chris Brown. Like,
yeah, for sure.
It is wild how he just gets to keep hitting like forever, and then in the era of cancel culture and all that.
I think he undeniably did take a little bit of a hit, but it's also kind of like
maybe temporarily, but dude, he still makes like
I know
huge songs with the biggest acts
I said little bit. I didn't mean it derailed him. I'm just saying like, although at the same time you could really just say like that style of music kind of just isn't as much of a thing anymore. Like even Rihanna's not as big as Rihanna used to be. Like that time, the 2000s, 2010s, that poppy type shit was like super big. And now it's kind of just like Taylor Swift and Beyonce. And like, that's basically then everybody else. But yeah, no, dude, like that shit actually, dude, not that this is a great subject, but like the Chris Brown stuff actually kind of blows my mind because of how respected and loved Rihanna is. Like,
right. That's the other thing too. It's not like it's just a random baby mama,
which would not be good.
No, of course not. That wouldn't make it at all. That would still also be awful.
But I get it.
But the fact that he did it to a beloved superstar who's like a billionaire. She wasn't then, but she is now. Like, it's insane. That's what I'm saying. Like, literally, how do you do that? Anyway, I found it is. You can have more fun at a Glasgow stabbing than at an Edinburgh wedding. So it's like, yeah.
And also on that note, like. So with Chris Brown, you got to assume that a guy like that, so many of his fans are girls. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude,
like,
well, really, that's why.
Like, if Jeezy beat the shit out of someone, you're like, yeah, probably not going to lose all the dudes that like, but
that's the thing, though, is it's like, that's why he's kind of gotten away, is because, yes, he has so many fans that are women and a lot of the ones that are like, obviously, they're still fans. They just don't care. Like, they'll be on his Twitter or whatever, Instagram comments and stuff, and they'll just be saying things like,
beat me, daddy.
You can black my eye anytime you want, daddy. Like that type of shit.
Slap him with the dick. Slap him with the dick. He ain't talking about me.
Yeah, blind a bitch.
But yeah, that's like, and I guess really, because like, bro, when now granted, I guess Ike Turner just don't have it like Chris Brown. I mean, there's
no.
Well, because I'm just saying, like, because people, that did not hit for them when he did that to Whitney. I mean, it's not like he went to jail or nothing.
No, that's Ike Turner.
Or not Tina Whitney, Turner. Tina. My bad.
Bobby Brown.
But yeah. But both though.
Keep all this straight. Yeah, right.
Yeah, my bad. Excuse me. In playing Mad Libs with violent black men. What a wonderful episode. But yeah, no, but Ike, when you think about Ike, all anybody thinks about is he beat Tina Turner.
Yeah.
Kind of when you think about Bobby Brown, all you think about is he beat Whitney. With Chris Brown, that's what I think about, but that's not what a lot of people think about, because he still said, like, Ike didn't do a goddamn thing after Tina let him go. You know what I mean?
Did he even hit before that?
I mean, he was in her, he was in her backing band or something. Have you seen that clip one time where like Tina's like, she says something and she's like, she goes, what would you do if she was singing the Joe Cocker song, What Would You Do If I Sang Out of Tune? And you can hear Ike in the back go, I give you a black eye. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah. It was a different time.
Bro. And like, cause like, at least Sean Connery had the good knowledge to only hit women that weren't famous. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, and he'd tell you about it. Like, Mary, you seen that clip where he's talking to Barbara Walters?
Barbara Walters, yeah.
You like, do you regret slapping women? Exactly? She's like, do you regret slapping women? He's like, sometimes I need a slop. Don't know what to tell you.
Because you got to straighten them out.
The words won't work. But it's like, again, when Bobby and them did, but Chris Brown, like, there's a lot of people that super worship at the altar of that dude. Like, I saw a podcast with like a bunch of grown men, grown ass, cool looking black dudes seriously having a discussion on who was the better entertainer, Michael Jackson or Chris Brown.
Well, that makes me think that we are too white to appreciate how gifted he is.
He is.
Like, I don't know. He don't hit, like, I've never given a shit either way about his music or output or performances or nothing like that. But I'm saying, you saying that makes me think that maybe we are underappreciating how much of a talent that he is or something. Because, dude, it's like if you hit hard enough.
Yeah, of course.
They'll let you get away with anything, even today. And maybe he is that level of talent, and I just don't realize it because I'm too much of a cracker. I don't know.
I guess I've just always thought I had pretty good objectivity. And like, I know, and by the way, I would never, I've seen dude dance. His songs are bangers. Like, he can dance his ass off. To talk about him in the same conversation as fucking Michael Jackson. And this one dude that was talking about was like, he was so pissed off that they were coming at Michael Jackson like that. And he was talking about, he goes, do you understand that bitches used to die when they saw Mike? And they're like, what are you talking about? And he was talking about this phenomenon that apparently he says there was reported cases of it where, like, you've seen it with the Beatles when the Beatles came to America and like them girls literally would faint. Like they'd fall out and stuff. And he's like, Michael would come out and he would look, and these women would faint, and some of them die. And then this dude was talking about Chris Brown doing backflips, and Michael Jackson didn't do backflips. He's like, if Michael Jackson did a backflip, 10,000 fucking people would be dead right now. Like, just losing his fucking mind. But anyways,
that guy.
Yeah, right. I just don't. I mean, I don't know. You ought not hit Rihanna nor any.
No,
woman.
you ought not hit Rihanna. I've always said it.
But here you go. I already brought this up, so I'm going to finish it. I've been sitting on this for a couple weeks, actually. So, Trae, speaking of things going bad for women, during the Middle Ages, a woman's virginity, like you had to be one, right? Like you couldn't just not be a virgin, especially if you're going to be married to some nobility. And what was very unfortunate about this, which like
a maiden fair,
yes. And
we know be a misbegotten whore fair. Right. That wasn't a thing. And a Jezebel fair. That's not how it worked.
And there's only one way for them to have tested, like, if you're a virgin or not, and that's this is gross, but it's like the hymen. You know what I mean? The hymen breaks, you bleed or whatever. Well, we know this now, but I guess they didn't know it back then. That, like, dude, half the girls in my school busted their hymen on a goddamn trampoline. You know what I mean?
Or a
like
horse, yeah.
A horse. And back then, dude, they was lousy with horses. All they did
everywhere.
Like, dude, I've ridden a horse. I promise you, if I had a hymen, it'd have busted. It'd have busted immediately, right? But you couldn't just, if you're engaged to be wed to the prince and you get in there, you can't just plead, I rode a horse. It just didn't work, right? So all these girls who either had busted their hymen in some other way or had lost their virginity, and they was wanting to fake it so that they could either be married to nobility, or that once they consummated their marriage, they wouldn't get killed. Right. This is a cheat that some of the, what were the people called, you know, in the movie, in Robin Hood, the cartoon, Maid Marian's got that chicken lady.
I haven't seen that in a long time.
What do you mean?
The Robin Hood cartoon. I've seen it when I was a kid. I haven't watched it again in years.
You haven't watched that as an adult?
I don't think so.
I watch that movie once every 6 months.
Okay.
Dude, you got to watch that, bro. You got to watch that fucking movie. It holds up. Might be the best Disney movie ever. It's so goddamn good. But anyways, Maid Marian's got
chicken woman, like a midwife or a
yeah. She used to be chickening, you know, and she was like Maid Marian's kind of nanny, but she was old, like the woman that, like, I don't know,
matron.
Yeah, they're sort of like their constant companion of finishing school or whatever. They like tend to their needs in sort of a nanny type of way, but they're like a mentor or whatever. Not a chambermaid, but I don't know.
No.
Anyways, these women would help these girls out. And one of the ways that they figured out how any girl, no matter hymen or whatever, could trick a dude into believing that she was a virgin. I'm going to let you take as many guesses as you want. How you think they pulled that off? It's grosser than you think, I bet.
I mean, I don't fucking, I know it ain't Kegels. It's too simple. And they didn't know anything about nothing body wise back then. I literally can't even think of what it could even be. Like, I don't even know.
You put a leech on your labia.
That is not what I thought you was going to say. Okay. I don't know what I thought you was going to say, but okay. How does that work?
Well, leeches suck blood, right? Leeches suck blood. And so you put that on your labia and then you leave it on there. And not only does it bleed, but it also forms like a little crust, which apparently is what the hymen be looking like when it busted. And I guess right before the king or whoever enters to do his thing, you just like slip the leech off and naturally you will bleed. And he's like, success, blood or whatever. But like, you had to put a leech on your vagine. That is how you cheat on a virginity test.
It's wild that they figured that out. They were throwing leeches at a lot of problems back then.
They really were.
Like, you know, and it's like, and apparently they were working for a lot of them too, you know. I mean, I think that leeches still get used today a little bit, and not for that. I was wondering, in like some medical, instances, I believe. So
I was wondering if like old leeches were always bitching at their kids because they don't have to work anymore like they did. Like this new batch of leeches is just retired.
Yeah, but you know, when you do what you love, you never work a day in your life. And I'm saying they only ever worked at sucking blood and stuff.
Sucking pussy and being in creeks.
So, what more do you want if you're a leech?
Not me.
Lady in waiting.
There you go.
But that can be a younger one. You know how they have all those, like, you know, there's like the top, you know, the boss bitch of all the little court women, you know what I mean? The one that's going to be like, that's going to marry the prince. And then there's all the lesser.
Just in case she dies of scurvy.
I don't even think that they succeed her if she dies. I think they're just like her entourage.
Right.
They're just there to just also be like Sansa was one of those. Right. Or no, Sansa was.
No, Sansa was Prince Joffrey's dude.
Yeah, she was the main one. They didn't give Sansa. If you're. What the fuck was that show? There's a goddamn CW show that Katie made me watch.
Oh, like the Tudors. Rain?
Rain.
Yeah.
Rain. Have you ever seen Rain?
I saw the thumbnail and I was like, I like this period, but this looks pretty CW.
It's very CW-y, but Katie made me watch it. Anyway,
did it hit to be forced to watch?
It wasn't. I'm never going to watch it again.
But it's about Henry VIII, right?
I can't remember which. No, I don't think it's the eighth. I don't think
Okay.
so. I think it's a different. But anyway, the main girl in that, she got her entourage of lesser noble girls who
Right.
are there's they get sent to court. Like they didn't know what to do with girls back then.
Right.
They married them off and stuff, but it's like if you were the daughter of some duke who like kind of hit but not really, you got sent to court where I
to
think
just hang out.
you just hung out with
Yeah.
the main chick. Anyway, those are ladies in waiting, but apparently they can be old too.
Right.
And if they're older ladies in waiting, it says they can serve in like a senior capacity and do kind of stuff that you were saying. So maybe it's the same thing. And it says in many royal households, the most senior lady in waiting was often referred to as the mistress of the robes.
There you go. Reign was about Mary, Queen of Scots, which is Henry VIII's daughter, I believe.
There you go.
To his from his like sixth wife or something. Yeah, dude. But not only that, like those lady in waiting, oftentimes, if I'm remembering this correctly, oftentimes that's who the king would pick a mistress from because they was just around there. And and back then we covered this, but it was on the very first episode, so I don't mind treading the same ground again. Matter of fact, I've been thinking about doing a Henry VIII Redux now that I know more and the show's better. But yeah, the king would pick a mistress, but back then it wasn't like secretive. Like now, if the president has a mistress, it's like a scandal. But back then it was like the mistress was an official job. You got a salary, health benefits and stuff, and you just went, and if the king wants to push up on your titties, he gets to do that. And
it like kind of, I think, hit depending on what position the lady in waiting held, meaning like if she had a shot at some kind of
dukedom
somewhere else, or some bigger thing, then getting tabbed as the mistress was bad because there was no way to ever
go back.
You couldn't produce an heir or marry, and once you got defiled, ruined, by that kingly wiener, there wasn't no going back from that. So you're done forever. But if they had any kind of disgrace situation, or they were going to be of a lesser house or something like that, then getting to be the king's mistress could be like a pretty sweet gig, actually. So it just all depended, I reckon.
Well, because if you do it well enough and they don't end up beheading you, like you can retire from that. Like the king will put you up, like all that good stuff. But like, listen, man, look, I'm all women's lib and stuff, but I would assume if I was a duke back then and I had my choice of women, I'm not going to pick the one the king done plowed because I have to see him. You know what I mean? Like that kind of don't hit. Obviously they should be able to do whatever they want, but like, it was like a, whole different thing back then. Like that court, they just like, it was all posses. Like the king could just, being a king, that'd be some shit. It would hit real hard, wouldn't it? Well, we need to take a break.
We do. And when we get back, I've got one more New Year's thing that I ain't got to yet.
Let's take a break and we will be right back right after this. Guys, if you're convinced you're already the best version of yourself, well, you've never looked at your butthole, all that hair, all those spicy wings. Do yourself a favor and buy a bidet. Finally, a resolution that isn't a pain in the ass. Tushy Bidet fits on your toilet in under 10 minutes. Trust me, I'm not good at stuff like that, and it really is that easy. Improving your health and saving you time and money every time you bomb the bowl. At what point do we decide stashing a wet, dirty plunger in a plastic bag is not okay? For me, that was this January. Actually, it was a couple months ago, being honest with you, when Tushy sent me the bidet, which I certainly love. Switching to Tushy Bidet, I've cut my TP use by 80% and haven't clogged the toilet once. Y'all have talked about it a bunch. First time I ever used a bidet was at the Watergate Hotel, and I assume because of that it was super fancy, and people like me couldn't get one. But Tushy not only makes it super easy to install, but also super affordable. It looks great. I love telling people when they come over the house, I'm like, hey, go to the bathroom. They're like, I don't have to go to the bathroom. I'm like, yeah, but just do it. Okay, just go use the bathroom. And they're like, oh, look at you, fancy. It's fantastic. Do yourself a favor, grab it. And it's these tiny little upgrades you can make to go from to fancy real quick. And it doesn't take that much effort. Tushy is the modern bidet attachment that instantly transforms your bathroom. It easily attaches to your existing toilet. You don't need plumbing or electricity. It washes with a precise stream of fresh water right at your beehole, getting 99% of that bacteria away compared to wiping with toilet paper. Gives you 2-in-1 benefits. It reduces irritation and prevents micro tears, which don't hit. Better than macro tears, sure, but still don't hit. Super easy to use. Instantly improve your health from the bottom up. For a limited time, our listeners get 10% off their first bidet order when you use the code POA at checkout. That's 10% off your first bidet order at hellotushy.com with the promo code POA. hellotushy.com, promo code POA. Clean your booty hole.
And we're back. Joe, you ever just think about the calendar and how
Yes, today.
Really? Well, today's a good day for it. It makes sense
Amber,
that today of all days you would think about the calendar, you know.
Danny,
that's probably why I was thinking about the calendar.
No, my father-in-law, his birthday's around this time, and he had been talking all year about how he wanted a calendar because he likes having a wall calendar, right? Now, this is my wife got this from my father-in-law.
Like titties or trucks?
No, just
like
he don't even care. I mean, he would prefer like fish and
cars.
Yeah, I mean, he would. Okay. But for him,
which old dad variety of wall calendar are we talking here?
He don't even care about that. It's purely for function for him. But yeah, I'm sure she got him one with ducks and stuff on it. But this is like Danny is a very he's done well for himself. He's not billionaire or nothing, but he's done well for himself. But this is exactly what Amber like. He's like, all year he's wanted a wall calendar, and it's like, Danny, they're $5. You know what I mean? And Amber will do this too. Like, there'll be like a scarf or something, and I'll get it for her. She's like, I've always wanted one of these. And I was like, then why didn't you get, like, that was your dream? Like my wife's dreams and her dad's dreams are the most achievable dreams ever, but they just dream them. Whereas mine are the least achievable thing ever, and I'm trying to do it, but because
the achievable things for you just go do obtain those things.
Of course.
You don't just exactly.
No, like, if I have a dream that I could do, I'll do it.
You just do it, right? So all that leaves is the unachievable dream.
Of course, that's true. But anyways, she got him a calendar, and like, this is not an emotional man, but he was like, "This is the most meaningful gift I've ever gotten. I hope this is what you get me every year for my birthday." And she's like, "Deal." You know?
Wow. I mean, does she always buy him gifts and stuff every year?
Yeah.
Okay. Because sometimes I feel like, dude, get men, especially that generation, it's just like
the thought.
Well, just they don't ever get. Obviously, it's not the case with him, but they don't get like considered or anything by anyone ever. Like no, and they don't. It's like, and they don't want to be.
Of course not.
But when someone does something, it's like actually, it's like, oh, you like know
what I want,
thing about me and what I want and feel. I didn't think any of these myriad bitches in my life was paying any attention to any of that ever.
No,
like so.
Even at our age, that means a lot,
right? Yeah. No. Yeah. But anyway, I mean, like a more abstract, like
the Gregorian
not a calendar, the calendar,
the Gregorian calendar,
and why it be the way it be, and all that stuff. Right, everything comes back to Rome, right? Always, which makes sense. Greatest empire in the history, especially it's like the foundation of Western civilization, of which we are a part. So it makes sense. But like, and this isn't a lesser known thing, but I think that it's wild. But it's also part of maybe his legend. But it's not just Rome; it's specifically the most famous Roman of all time. Julius Caesar is the dude who he didn't come up with it. He did the Steve Jobs thing where he was like, I got an idea. Get me some smart motherfucker. You know, make that dude over there stop thinking, stop sitting in that. Yeah, stop doing this, and tell him to come in here and work on this for a minute because we got to fix this calendar shit. Because, and then they did, and then I don't know. I don't want to get ahead of myself. From the beginning of the Roman Empire, I didn't know this either. I thought this was very interesting. Early on in the Roman Republic, before it became an empire, which was also Julius Caesar. Again, that's like it's like when you talk about like people having plot armor in movies or whatever. And it's like, but people in real life, like they did stuff like that too. That's why they're famous.
Exactly,
you know what I mean?
Because they made it. They survived.
Right. And that's why, and it's the same thing with Julius Caesar. It's like you learn all this different stuff that he did, but it's like, well, yeah, but that's why you know who he is because he did. So like,
like
he's the one
evil or not, the guy fucking hit. You know what I mean? He's
the one who transitioned or presided over the transition of Rome from a republic to an empire. He made the calendar, which we still use today, except it's now technically the Gregorian calendar, but I'll get to that in a minute. But early on in the Roman Republic, years and years and years before.
What does eon mean?
Just long ass time, just evas and evas ago. But anyway, way before Caesar, early on in the Roman Republic, they said this was started by Romulus, who, of course, is not even believed to be real. You know who Romulus and Remus are?
I know who Romulus is because that's who Roman was named after on Succession.
Romulus and Remus are the two twin brothers that founded the city of Rome, but they were raised by a wolf bitch, and I mean literal bitch, like a she-wolf. They were raised by a she-wolf in a cave. And so it's all like, it's legend, it's myth. They're almost certainly not real, but the legend says that Romulus is the dude who came up with the first Roman calendar early in the Roman Republic. And the way it worked was they had basically from the very beginning of us having any kind of calendar at all, it had to do with the moon, right? The way the moon be working. And it was like there was 10 months started in the spring, right? And so obviously harvest, growing season,
New Year,
all that stuff. You know what I mean? It's like it was all based on that stuff. It was all very practical.
That makes sense.
It does make sense, and it started in the spring, and like the whatever is that the vernal that's some equinox or something, the one in the spring. And anyway, it started in 10 months, and it followed the moons, and there was the new moon, the first quarter moon, and the full moon, right? Which was like the nones, the something, and the ides, the ides of March. Like those were days, but they were days tied to the moon and where the moon was.
Ides means 15, right?
Well, it means the middle of the month,
middle,
basically. Yeah. But it was 10 months, and this is what I never knew, winter just was an unassigned random number of days. It was like it's like in Game of Thrones, except not years, but like I never knew that was a real thing. Like
sometimes it would just be.
Back then in early Rome, like the whole idea was like, oh, it's going to be a long winter this year, or it could be like that's how it used to work because they didn't assign weeks or months or anything to winters. Just like winter has come.
Right. Now,
when winter is over,
it will be
whenever
spring.
Whenever that is, the next year will start. But we don't even know how long winter's going to be. And they didn't even bother giving winter month names or anything.
Sure.
But so I never knew that. I thought that was pretty cool that the whole, like, the idea of a varying length winter was like something that really existed. But that, George R. R. Martin, he wild like that because almost all that shit in those books was based on something that did exist at some point.
I mean, obviously they're based on the War of the Roses mainly, but he took from everything. And obviously a lot of British history took from Roman history, like they just, assigned it different things.
So that was the early version of it. And then they added 2 winter months, early January and February. They added months. They're like, we should just have months for this. And somebody was like, they sat around and thought about it for a while, and they were like, you're right, we could do that.
Dude, let me, for 2 seconds, I'm so for this because I have always said that the end of February feels like the end of the year. You know what I mean? Like January doesn't seem like a beginning of shit. Like because it's like it's the continuation of just the cold and whatever, which is why, and I got a lot of flack for this. Now that we have Bane, we put our Christmas stuff up, but I was always cool with leaving our Christmas stuff up till February because I was like, if it's going to be cold, it may as well be festive because if it's not Christmas, then it's cold for nothing. You know what I mean? Go ahead.
So they added the 2 winter months for a total of 12 months, and those 12 months added up to 355 days, and that's how it worked for a long time. Now, they weren't stupid. Even back then, they knew that, like, that was off, but they just, like, I guess didn't know what to do about it.
Who cares?
So,
we made it up.
So every few years, because obviously 365 days is how long it takes the Earth to go around the sun, right? So that's why years, like, match up the way they do. But their year was 355 days in the early Rome, and they knew it was off. But again, the way that they used to fix it, which I also didn't know, was after a few years when it would get like real off, they would have intercalary month or intercalary months. I don't know if I'm saying intercalaris, mensis intercalaris, which was like just nameless, made up additional months that they would insert into the year to like catch back up.
That's how December 26th to January 1st feels. It's off. It's in its own thing.
Yeah. I said it was nameless. They actually called it intercalaris, I guess. But intercalaris was like, they'd be like, hey, sun's off again.
It's like a snow day.
feels like this year we should have an intercalary, right? But it was a month.
Right.
It'd be like,
but I'm saying an accumulation of like, we got to use these days, you know?
yeah. But so that's how they fixed it. And it went that way for years and years and years. And Caesar went to Egypt and fucked around with Cleopatra and all that stuff. And the Egyptian calendar was closer to what we ended up having, but it also still was off. They had exactly 365 days in the Egyptian calendar. So, but the thing is, the Earth goes around the sun every 365 and 1/4 days. Right.
How did they know that?
That's another part that I didn't know was, again, even in this time, like, they knew that they did not know that. So they were aware that this was a problem. Like, dude, they even before that in ancient Greece, they had what was called the cycle of Meton or Meton, Meton. That was their calendar. It was 19 years long in one cycle, 6,940 days and 6 hours. But that divided out into 365. Yeah, right. Okay. Exactly. So it kind of worked out.
Because think about this. Me and you are, as far as how evolution has gone, how much science we have ingested in our life, and also the technology that me and you have at our fingertips. It's unfathomable how much better off and far advanced we are than them motherfuckers in Egypt. Me and you versus their top people. Me and you, right?
Right.
I wouldn't even, with all the technology I have, I wouldn't even begin to know how to figure out how many times the goddamn Earth went around the sun, and they had a dude wearing a mummy hat that was just like, all right, I'm going to sit here for a minute and count. And they figured it out.
Yeah, it's crazy. How? I agree. It's one of those, we joke a lot about how stupid people in the past were, and I had that stand-up bit about it and everything for a long time. And it's like, it's funny, and it's true. And also,
they still had high IQ people.
And the thing is, I've realized with the truth of how it really works, it's like they had geniuses too. They had brilliant people, but their geniuses had way less of a foundation than our geniuses today. A genius who's born today, they don't have to worry about working out how long it takes the Earth to go around the sun, because this motherfucker did it 3,000 years ago.
Because those geniuses did it, yeah.
But when this dude was doing it, ain't nobody had done that yet, so he had to focus his genius on that. So it's like they were actually just as smart as we were, the smart ones, but they just didn't. We just hadn't been doing it long enough as a species. So there was too much stuff we hadn't figured out yet. We have such a larger base of knowledge today, and it makes it seem like we're smarter than them, but really we weren't. But anyway, so he came back, got people working on it, and they ended up. They took some days out of this month and into this month and all this stuff, and that's how some of them have 31. So I never realized this either, but if we had 13 months of exactly 4 weeks of 7 days, that would be 364 days, right? Mm-hmm. And then the 365th day could just be New Year's Day. It don't have it's like Washington D.C. or whatever. It don't have
it's not a state.
It doesn't belong to a month. It's just its own things. We have New Year's Day every year, Elite Day. Well, you could have done that. Some people have been like, it's so funny. People on the internet 2,000 years later or whatever, it's like, that's what Julius Caesar should have done. Look, how did I not think of that? But again, the reason why it was, but there's only 12 lunar cycles, right? So it's called a luna-solar calendar because it's tied to the movement of the Earth around the sun, but also the moon around the Earth. And there's 12 lunar cycles. That's why you need 12 months. Anyway, they came up with the leap year, right? Leap year, 4 years, leap day. That makes it 365.25, whatever. And that largely worked. But the thing is, it's not exactly 365.25.
Of course.
It is exactly 365.24219.
So we're banking days.
Even that tiny amount of offness results in the calendar being off after a long enough time. So they followed Caesar's calendar for 1,600 years. But by the time it had been 1,600 years with just a regular old leap day, a leap year, we were off enough that Easter was all fucked up. Right? Easter was happening in fucking March or something. Where, the Pope was like, we can't have that. Right? We got to get Easter back on track.
Yeah.
Not just, and which Pope was it? Who else but Pope Gregory?
The cat guy.
Pope Gregory, Gregory the what? I don't remember.
He was the seventh or something like that. Wasn't he the guy that excommunicated the cats and had rat lawyers and stuff?
I don't know. Is it the same one? I don't know. I'm just no. This is Gregory the 13th.
Okay,
been a lot of Pope Gregs.
One of the Pope Gregs was the cat defenestrator.
Well, this Pope Greg was like, we gotta get Easter fucking fixed up because this shit ain't working. And it took me so long to find, like, okay, but what did he do? Because it's like he changed the Julian calendar ever so slightly. But he like fixed it, and now it's fixed, and our calendar worked. It took me longer than I thought it would be. Like, how did he fix it? What did he do? And again, I say him, same thing as Julius Caesar. He brought in some thinkers and was like, fix this, and then they did. And what they actually did was, this is the only thing they changed. I'm pretty sure, as far as I can tell, this is the only thing they changed to make it go from the Julian calendar to the Gregorian calendar that we still use today, is that we don't just have a leap year. Did you know this? We don't have a leap year every 4 years, no matter what. Did you know that?
No, I thought we definitely did.
You have a leap year every 4 years, unless that year is also divisible by the number 100, in which case you do not have one. So however, if that year is also divisible by the number 400, then you do still have one.
So in our lifetime,
those are the extra rules that they came up with, and that fixed it. So
in our lifetime, has that occurred? Because
that I don't know.
Because I don't remember. I feel like I would have remembered if someone said, "Hey, we don't have a leap year this year."
I agree with you. Maybe it hasn't. I mean, but anyway,
I was going to say like the year 2000 would have been divisible, but that also wouldn't have. It has to fall on when it would have been a leap year, anyways. And so it would have had to be the year 2000 or the year 2010, and it just going by 4.
But actually, 2000 would have had one either way because it is also divisible by 400.
Right, but again, it has to still fall within those 4 years.
On a leap year of the first,
so
yes.
Yeah, right.
But just making that change, which only comes up every fucking however long, that I said fixed it, it almost fixed it. Even that system is still off by 26 seconds per year, which they started the Gregorian calendar in 1582. But it will take until the year 4909 for the Gregorian calendar to be a full day off from the solar year. So
we ain't gonna make
pretty
it.
Good. Pretty good. Pretty good job that they did there. But that's how, if anybody else is thinking about the calendar today. Oh, a couple other quick things about it that I thought were neat. When Julius Caesar first went from that old regular ass Roman calendar with the Ides and the Nones and all that, the moon days, when we went from that to the Julian calendar, shit had gotten so far off by the time that they came up with the Julian calendar system that they had to spend 1 year in the year 46 BC. That year was 445 days long.
Ain't it?
Because they had to add all those extra days to it to get it synced back up with the sun the way that it should be.
Now,
so it's like, imagine you're like, and they didn't have this back then, but it's like, I don't know, your senior year of high school or your last year on the job or something like that.
Yeah.
You're trying to get to there. It's like, oh, by the way, we're going to add an indeterminate but pretty high number of days to this year. And we'll tell you when this year is no longer this year. It's going to be this year until we say it ain't this year.
Yeah. You're about to turn 21. It's like,
but it's like 80 days, I guess, 80 extra days in that year to get it back on track. But
now that global warming has made us completely seasonless and we don't really does it really matter now? Like it's just a time, so we'll know when to be in an appointment. You know what I mean? At this point.
Yeah, but I think you do still want. I'd kind of like to take this opportunity to shit on Smart Mark a little bit if I could, since you brought this up, because especially since he's not here to defend himself, because that's the only chance I really have at winning. Although I still maintain this is the dumbest fucking thing he's ever said, especially for a smart person.
Please.
Real quick, Pope Gregory, when he changed it to the Gregorian calendar, they had to skip some days. They skipped that year, 1582. They skipped from October 5th to October 14th, and that's how they got it back on track. So one day was October 5th, next day was October 14th. Fun fact, if you get in your iPhone and get in your calendar app and go back to the year 1582, in the month of October, it goes straight from October 5th to October 14th.
No shit.
You know that? Yeah, it does. So, but anyway, here's what Mark said that was dumb. You said it's like, oh, now that global warming and all that, why do we even need this shit?
I don't mean we don't need calendars. I just mean we don't need to worry about making up days.
Right, but you won't. I think you want the same, because the Earth be going around the sun whether you like it or not. So there are going to be different seasons of some kind, different positions, and you need a way to like track that and keep up with it. I feel like if it all be the same here, but here's the because it's like, well, people do still grow crops and shit.
Well, they got their own thing going on. There's an almanac.
Right, but that almanac is tied back to a system. Dude, it would be chaos. We need
No. I'm just saying we don't need to worry about it.
I'm going to worry about it. No, you wouldn't worry about it? How you going to, like, when is your show going to be? Like, you going to have a show on the fucking, what?
It'll still be the 10th.
Then what are you even saying?
I'm saying we don't have to worry about leap year. We don't have to do that no more. It's fine. Just let it go.
No, but see, well, maybe not before long, but in our, like, children's lifetime or whatever.
They ain't getting one. It ain't going to be because of a calendar fucks them up.
At a certain point, February will be fucking March. Or
then they can have one of them nocto-calorinous 2-month periods, you know?
But
we're wasting resources counting days.
Figured out that's harder. You got to figure out how many fucking made up.
We won't have to do it.
We don't have to do it already.
Then what are we arguing about?
It's been figured out. We figured it out. Just let it ride. Like,
that's what I'm saying.
What are you talking about? Okay. What do you mean? No, it's not. You just okay. Anyway, all right. Mark, it's not related to days, but it's related to time. But it's a similar argument.
Mm-hmm.
He genuinely believes, and for those of y'all that don't listen to Skews or whatever, don't know who Mark is, he's my co-host on Weekly Skews. We call him Smart Mark or Dart Mark or both or whatever. But anyway, he is a very smart dude, but he's also a cynical sack of shit.
Yes. Gen X mascot.
Yeah, but anyway, he's typically incredibly right about basically anything he ever talks about. But he believes that there ought not be any time zones anywhere.
I'm with him.
It doesn't make any, even in the days of the
11's 11.
Even in the days of the cavemen, they did that. They didn't have names for it.
They also raped.
We have been, you have to look, it objectively makes more sense.
I don't think you know what objectively means.
I do.
I think it's very subjectively.
This is not at all subjective. If you're in a place, again, back in the day, in like old times, if you traveled far and wide or whatever, when the sun is the highest in the sky, they might have a different name for that, but that's still noon. Whatever word they call that, that means noon. It means that's when the sun is the highest in the sky. But noon in fucking Siberia is not noon in fucking Brittany or whatever, and they have different words for it.
Sure.
But those were, for all intents and purposes, those were time zones. We've always acknowledged time zones because time is determined. I know time is a construct that we have made up, but the way that we track it, the way it is determined, is based upon the sun and the moon, where they are in the sky. If 11 o'clock here is 11 o'clock in Tehran,
doesn't matter.
And it's pitch, it absolutely matters.
It doesn't.
How could it not?
Because over there, 11 o'clock is just when it's dark. Who cares? It's a number.
But that's not, you have to, also he acts like it would make more, it doesn't make more sense.
It'd take 3 days. We'd all figure it out. I'm just saying, because I have to constantly get on Zooms with people from different time zones, for me personally, it'd be easier if we were just like, they said, we're going to get on at 4, and I didn't have to go Eastern or Central. I'll just go 4. 4 is the same for me as it is for you. Who gives a shit? 4. That's when we're doing that thing.
But you couldn't do that.
How can I? How not?
Because they would be like, well, I can't do that because 4 here is dinner time. So can we do 2? And
we do.
Like, well,
okay,
2 is
but
when we get off work.
Me and you do stuff at my dinner time all the time when it ain't your dinner time.
You would get off, if you traveled at all, you get off at a new place and you'd be like, all right, well, I left 4 hours ago and it was 6. So now it's 10 here.
Yeah.
And then you're like, so I'll go to dinner later. Wait, when do they do dinner here? When do things close here? What time is bedtime here?
Eat when you're hungry.
When do I set the alarm? When do I do that? When does the sun go down? You don't know any of those.
I would.
It's stupid. It's so stupid.
I would know.
No matter where you go in the world, depending on the latitude or whatever, you roughly know what time people are going to be doing what things, where the sun is going to be, when things are going to close, when they're going to open, when all this happens. And the reason that that's true is because of fucking time zones. If we didn't have them, you'd have to figure all that out. So it's like you're going to be doing some math or some figuring.
I do that less than I do Zoom, so I'm fine with it.
Okay, it's all right, whatever. Because of Zooms, you guys think that it would be, but I'm saying you're still wrong. It still wouldn't work that way. It wouldn't. It wouldn't, because 4 would mean a different thing to a person. You could be like,
it's still 4 though.
I know that. I know.
But I'm saying, like, if you say, I'll say, well, we're going to do it at 4. You're like, well, I can't do it at 4. Well, sometimes when you say, let's do it at 4, that means it's 1 to me. And sometimes I can't do it at 1. So, like, what's the goddamn difference? It's still just a time during the day.
It's
whatever
the fuck. You still have to think about it.
See? You see how hard it is for me? I can't even fucking get it straight.
You just still have to think about it. Like,
no, I wouldn't. I'd just go, we're doing it at 4.
I would be on East Coast. I would be on the West Coast. You'd be on the East Coast. You'd still, again, you're not thinking like, okay, it's 4 here, so it's 1 there. You're not thinking that. What you are thinking is it's 4 here and it's 4 there. But in California, 4 means this.
Who gives a shit, though? Me and you don't have jobs where things mean anything. It's the
same thing.
I haven't eaten dinner or lunch at the regular times in 8 years.
It just doesn't, you can't, okay. You have to, when is the time? You still have to figure out, you still have to think about this shit. You're going to have,
it's a 10, it's a 10.
But you still have to work out with a person what time it's going to be, and you have to take into account.
I'll say we're doing it at 10. If you can't, name another time. 8, cool, let's do it.
This is so ridiculous. It makes no sense. If you're talking to a person in London or whatever, right? It can't be fucking.
I'd say when's good for you. They'd say 2. I'd be like, oh, it's great for me.
Where is it all based on? New York City, Eastern? You live on East Coast time,
because that's the one I live on. Yes, it's all based on the one I want.
But
we're the time.
Right now, it's London, or it's Greenwich time, whatever. It's in England, which it probably would be because of British Empire reasons or whatever. It wouldn't have changed. So it's like, that's the only place that noon is high noon. That's also how timepieces, that's how people figured out time and fucking sundials and all this shit. They all work based on where the sun is in the sky.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do we have sundials still? Is that how you're doing it? No, it says it on my phone. 4:20 right now. This second, 4:20.
Again, I know you don't care about farmers or work shifts or any of that stuff.
They got their own thing. Everybody's got their own
They
thing.
don't. You're trying to take that away. They don't have their own thing. They don't. The whole world has the same thing. And you and Mark, by thinking you're making it the same thing, you are the ones fucking that up.
Just get up when the goddamn sun comes up, whether that's 10 or whether that's 2.
They do that already, and that's fucking 6 in the morning.
Yeah,
it's 6 in the morning here. It's 6 in the morning here. It's 6 in the morning in France. It's 6 in the morning in fucking China. It's 6 in the morning everywhere. That makes the most sense. That's the way it should work. You guys are crazy. You're crazy.
By the way,
it's absurd to suggest otherwise.
This is so funny.
The whole world, every society that's ever existed has independently came to the same conclusion.
What happened to you?
You and Mark have figured it out.
What happened to you?
You and Mark are the ones who know that it's stupid for it to work that way.
What happened to you?
What are you talking about?
The brain that you have, the steel trap memory that you've always had. You don't forget shit, right? How many times we've been in text threads and you've been like, oh, I remember you said that, and you'll go find the fucking receipt. Do you remember when we were having this argument in the fucking thread? Do you remember that?
Yeah, you're just like fucking with me.
Yeah, I text you and I go, by the way, I agree. I agree with you. Mark's a lunatic. I thought you would know that's what I was doing here. I thought you were going to be like, no, you told me that you. No, of course you're right.
But I'm still going to take it.
Of course you're fucking right.
Yeah, no, I do remember that. But, I thought it would. I was trying to recreate another squirrel moment. No, I didn't have to try very hard.
Well, by the way, I was trying to convince myself that was right, but you kept making very salient points because you're correct. I was trying to be like, well, no, but if, and then you were like, yeah. And I was like, no, yeah. No, that wouldn't.
Now look.
Now, if we'd done this since the dawn of time and that's how it always been, I don't think there'd be an issue.
Yeah, maybe, but that could never have happened because it would have required coordination, and that didn't exist back then. Like at the dawn of time, you know what I mean? 8 could have never been 8 all around the world from the very, very beginning because they ain't even have 8.
The reason it genuinely, I mean, obviously, we're talking about 8 billion people on the planet. Is that where we're at right now?
Something like that, yeah.
Which is insane. It's crazy. But like, sincerely though, for me, it wouldn't be the biggest shakeup. I get it for normal people because, like, dude, I'm telling you, it's one of the things. It's like I love it, but also hate it because there's like no structure in my life. Like, because I do so much of my work with you, which is on West Coast time, right? My hours here kind of don't mean anything. Like, I don't have the normal, like, well, this is lunch. Because sometimes we just be having to do something because we're going on everybody else's time. Or like, sometimes like I work third shift and sometimes I got stuff in the morning. So like my whole day is kind of just like different hours of doing a comedy related project. And then I fall asleep when I'm tired and I wake up when my body wakes up. Like there's never, I don't really have a thing. Like when everybody else is doing their normal things, I'm not. Like, and it sucks because like, you know, like today's New Year's and I was like, I don't know what to tell you guys. Like it's Wednesday. We do our podcast. Like my whole fucking world don't stop because these goddamn holidays and like the people in my family are like retired or teachers. So they don't have to do anything. And they're like, but why don't you live like us? And I'm like, cause I can't, cause we're all different. You know what I'm saying? So like, I guess I was suggesting a dumb thing, much like they suggest a dumb thing. But to me, I don't have hours. Nothing means anything. Noon don't mean a goddamn thing to me. Some days that's when I start work. Some days that's when I finish work. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. That's fair. It's like I said, and I know
I'm
not a lot
normal.
of people travel. I just think, and I think if you tried to, I know you said 3 days, we'd all get up. Most people that never go anywhere else or whatever, they would just adjust. They would be like, okay, now, you know, instead of 6 o'clock being dinner time, now 3 o'clock is dinner time or whatever.
Sure.
But like the way people are, if you tried to like institute this, there'd be riots.
Oh,
of course,
you could, dude. We can't even get people to agree on daylight saving times now. Which, like, you know, we don't do politics, but this is like, I say this is superficial politics. Obviously, you just illustrated why it would affect a lot of people. But, you know, people were like, Trump said he was going to put an end to daylight saving times or whatever. And everybody got like super fucking excited because in their dumb brains, they thought that meant, yay, we'll have longer days. It'll be like it is in the summer. And it's like, no, that's actually the opposite. Like that.
Yeah, it is. Like, how do people not know that? It's literally called daylight savings time. Right. You're saving more of the daylight. And because, dude, I again, if what the dude said was like, hey, I'm going to make it to where it's always the sun's out longer, I would have been like, here's a policy I can get behind from someone I don't like, but that's not it. You know what I mean? And then I explained to everybody and they're like, well, that ain't it. And I'm like, that ain't it. Like, that's the dumbest shit ever. It's like seasonal affective disorder, SAD or whatever, is like a huge contributing factor is that you go to work in the dark and you come home in the dark, right? And like, and also everybody knows it's the bit, we forget it every year, but it's like you lose the 1 hour, but it gets dark 3 hours earlier because of just how the sun be. And like, that's a huge fucking deal, man. And like in the summer, when it's still, the sun's still a little bit out at 9:15 at night, that rules. Especially for somebody like me who plays golf or whatever, but anybody that likes to get off work and spend time in the yard with their kids, you want more sunlight, right? So what do you think about that? Like, how much would that affect shit if we were like, okay, it's always this, we're staying there and we're never doing the hour? Like, does that fuck up any of the daylight savings time?
Yeah.
Daylight savings time is not, it's not like necessary. I mean, hell, we come up with that in like the fucking Benjamin Franklin
for farmers,
era, right?
Right.
That's very, here's the thing. It does hit for me because of what you just said. It's like that, because Mark, that don't hit for him. Mark also has said like, and I get with that one, I understand the argument a little more because it's like, okay, I mean, yes, that is totally just a thing we just all agreed to just.
And it's 1 hour.
Start doing. Yeah. But I think it was a good idea.
Yeah.
And I think we should keep doing it.
Yeah, but
like you said, it hits harder to have an extra hour of daylight. There's
right.
nothing wrong
but
with
do
that.
it all year. Just leave it.
Well, yeah.
Just that's my suggestion.
If you're going to change it at all.
Because the whole policy was we're going to get rid of it and keep it one thing all year, except for we're going to keep the worst
to
one.
the other one. No,
that ain't it.
I think Now, I think the only reason they did that is because the worst one is the first one. I mean,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like that's OG time.
Yeah.
Daylight savings time is our adjusted time, and they're like, well, if we got to keep one, we got to keep real time. But no, I don't see any reason why you necessarily have to do that. That would be all of the U.S. at least, shifting everything forward by 1 hour and then just keeping it that way forever. Yeah.
The worst, one of the worst days of the year is the day that it starts.
Where you lose that hour. But one of my favorite days of the year
when you get it back
is when you get it back, because then you get an extra hour of sleep that night. Yeah. Even when I was like younger and partying and stuff, because like you'd be up hanging out and it'd go from 2 and then it'd still be 2 again an hour later.
Dude,
rules. One of the best nights of the year.
When you go out to the bars,
the other one sucks.
The other one's the worst. But yeah, we always took advantage of that. We'd go out to the bars because they'd stay open an hour later. You know, like we'd just be out. It's like, it's still the same time. What's really happening? You know.
But now we are arguing against, or we're not arguing against it. But that one where you get it back. That's the one where it goes back to the OG time. You know?
That's true.
Get it. The one that sucks in the moment is the one that gives you the extra hour of daylight, which is what would hit for you. But
that's what
it would just be a one-time thing.
Yeah, of course.
Live with it once.
Dude, I love the feeling of getting it back. But if I could have it to where we got more daylight all throughout the year, it would be because, like, and again, all of this is so selfish because during the winter, during the summer, when my boys get off work at 5, we can still go play 18 holes of golf, even if they get off at 5. In the winter, by the time they get off work, we can't play anything because, like, we get out there, tee up, it's fucking dark. If we had that extra hour, we could at least get 9 in. And like the winters, you could still be like, I could have played golf today easily here. I mean, it's a little nippy, but like, could have done it, no problem. Well, shit, I think we need to do some airmail because we've been slacking in the airmail department. What you say?
Well, it ain't our fault. We've been gone, but yeah. I mean,
we've been gone.
But yeah. We should. Go ahead, make it hit.
Okay, and I have vetted absolutely 0 of these because, well, I sent you this, I sent you the subject line of this, but I actually never read it. This hit for me very hard. Subject line, is Corey secretly Puerto Rican? Dear Corey and Trae, I was listening to the Christmas episode, and Corey's love of Christmas got me thinking. Puerto Rico is known for having one of the longest Christmas celebrations in the world, from November 1st through the end of January. We're full on the Christmas spirit. It's pretty common for people to have their Christmas trees and even outdoor lights up in the on November 1st and not take them down until the end of January after the Octavitas. See, here we celebrate Three Kings Day, movie hit, which is January 6th. And then the 8 days after that is called the Octavitas. Sorry, I keep saying that wrong. An extension of the Christmas celebration. It has religious origins, but it's pretty secular now. Then there's the celebration of San Sebastian Street in Old San Juan that happens the 3rd week of January, which may consider the end of Christmas. All of this to say, Corey's not weird. Maybe he's just Puerto Rican. If you've never been to Puerto Rico at Christmas time, I think you'd fit right in. Merry Christmas, Vanessa.
What did you say about, like,
I was just talking about how I think I mentioned that, that's the episode you were drunk. I just mentioned that kind of what I said earlier is that, like, as soon we put our Christmas stuff up the Halloween, like right after Halloween, because it hits, I like Christmas shit. And if I had my druthers, the shit would still be up through at least all of January. Because again, I've just always been like, the only reason I ever like cold is if it's associated with the festive times of Christmas. So when you take the Christmas shit away, it's just cold for nothing, like no reason. But at least with the tree, I can like, and we always have the fresh Christmas candles. I can, like, for a moment, just feel like it's Christmassy. By the way, I mean, I wanted to mention this earlier, but she was talking about Easter and when all this stuff happens with the months or whatever. Easter changing, but Christmas not, is like such proof that Christmas is totally a secular holiday now, in that, like, with Easter, it's like, well, we don't exactly know when Jesus died, but it was around the time the moon, but they're like, no, Jesus was born December 25th. That's the day. You know what I mean? Like, that don't ever change.
Yeah, I read about both of those things while reading that calendar stuff earlier, but I don't have them in front of me right now, and I've forgotten. Again, I know that the Easter calculation, was the main reason that we went from the Julian calendar to the Gregorian calendar in the first place, because Pope Gregory couldn't have Easter being all out of whack the way it was. But at some point, somebody in this whole calendar kerfuffle was the one who put Christmas on the 25th too, or something like that, and it just stayed. But anyway.
Yeah, I just, it's all very commercial to me. Subject line, the Buttercream Gang. Hello, big fan of the show, and I also recently listened to Trae on the Pastimes with the Dollop Boys and just screamed when the Buttercream Gang films were mentioned. I grew up in New England. Y'all talk about the Buttercream Gang?
Yeah.
I grew up in New England.
They hadn't heard of it. Neither one of them had heard of it.
Oh, really?
I don't think so. Dude, I found that a lot of people have not heard of that.
You're right.
I thought it was a fucking
staple.
Elementary school staple all across this country, but that is not the case. A lot of people have never encountered that shit.
That's how I felt about the Pistol Pete straight to the VHS biopic, and a lot of people have never seen that. And to me, I was like, what do you mean? That's the one you're allowed to watch when you're a kid.
We had that in my video store, so fire. I'm aware of it, but yeah.
I grew up in New England, and my mom found the VHS tape somewhere when I was a kid, but no one else I know ever saw those movies. I also wanted to mention another film made by the Mormon Church that my mom found at the same time called Rigoletto, which is a total fever dream, which had some really uncomfortable themes in retrospect. Anyways, thank you for a little nostalgic reminder. My brother and I had a good chuckle. All the best, Mary. Well, now I got to fucking look up Rigoletto.
That one I don't know, but I did know that, and I think I talked about this a little bit with him on there too, but I was about to ask if you remember, but you were not part of that. I always forget. I always just include you in that. Well, me and Drew and Andy and our buddy Rick made that pilot for that with the Impractical Jokers dudes all those years ago. One of the producers on that was a Mormon guy, and I added him on Facebook, became Facebook friends, whatever. And through him, found out he was a producer of this reality show production company, and that's how I met him. He worked with the Impractical Jokers dudes. But he also, or transitioned later or something, to being the open shirted hot throb action hero of Mormon adventure films.
Hell yeah, I could do that.
So the Mormon Church, there's a whole they have their own Hollywood. They got a whole film industry that's just by and for Mormons, and they make adventure films off of Mormon Bible story, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You would know Bible stories that could
John
Samson
Smith
and shit that, but
with John
Mormons,
Smith and stuff, finding the golden pillars or whatever.
Yeah, they make movies.
Dude, we would rip at that.
And they're just, everybody works on them as Mormon, and this dude that I knew, he's like their fucking Ryan Gosling or something, or at least he was at one point. He stars and all of them and all this stuff. It was so wild to me. But apparently the Buttercream Gang was an early version of that, a kids movie version of that was made by the Mormon Hollywood 30-something years ago. But weird.
I'm gonna say something, and I have no evidence to back any of it up, but the reason that these Kirk Camerons and stuff, and they have their own thing going on, is because they believe that Hollywood is filled with pedophilic cabals, and that's devil stuff, and also their stuff wouldn't fly in Hollywood, so they have to do their own thing for clean, good fun or whatever. Bruh, I bet you the Mormon Hollywood is some of the most fucked up underbelly shit that you could imagine. Might rival Hollywood. You know what I mean? I can't. No offense to any of our Mormon people out there. It's just at the high levels of them shits, it's scary.
Yes, that is true. I think a lot of times it depends on the sect of Mormonism. Some of they're not all polygamous and stuff, but some of them are. And the ones that are hardcore and it's wild and they're basically, women ain't allowed to talk and all that stuff. So I think it just depends. And any kind of hardcore religion, they seem to, molest children at some clip. So I would imagine there's at least a touch of that. Anyway, go ahead.
Last one here. How dare they build that next to his wife's childhood home? Just ran across this bitchy article about someone having all of the audacity to build a gaudy gastropub next to Shakespeare's wife's childhood home, and I thought Americans were ridiculous. It's only been 500 years, damn it. Can we build gaudy shit yet? Lord, can you even imagine? Yeah, you probably can, having lived in small towns that probably have long memories. Angie, that's a bummer, because I remember when the first time I saw the Alamo, I remember thinking this is gonna be a huge deal. I'm gonna go see the Alamo, and it's just right by an Applebee's. You know what I mean?
Well, To be fair, me and Caleb Simon were just at the Alamo. I mean, hell, it's probably been 2-3 months ago now, but we were there pretty recently. And I've been there before. To be fair to the Alamo, the whole city of San Antonio like sprung up around the Alamo.
That's true.
Like the Alamo is like downtown San Antonio.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like so it's surrounded by everything.
Sure.
You know, because see, that person though is arguing against what you're saying. I think
Right.
they're like, aren't they saying it's like, oh God, who gives a shit? It's
I guess you're right. They were, yeah.
And I was gonna say, and I disagree with Angie.
Yeah, me too.
And I think most Americans feel that way because I don't know about most Americans definitely do not. But for me, I've always lamented the fact that in America we do shit like that.
I hate it.
And in other places, they actually care about history, so they don't do shit like that. Right. And I wish we were more like. So if I was over there, I would. Because it sounds like she's talking about a spoons, Doctor, putting a spoons up by a fucking house that Shakespeare used to be in. Like that ain't it.
No, dude. Like that's.
But it's not just American though. I've never been there, but have you ever seen the pictures of the Great Pyramids from the other angle? Everybody always sees pictures of the pyramids just from that one angle. But if you turn it around and see it from the other angle, there is a Pizza Hut right there.
It's rough.
Like a Pizza Hut and a Boost Mobile and whatever the hell else.
And I guess over there.
So it's an everywhere thing.
I was about to make this argument, but like that would have been the same case in America. We just didn't let it get to that point. It's like over there, if you want to put up a new spot, there ain't no new land being made. And there's probably some old ancient cool thing that you're going to have to fuck with. But like, I don't know, man. Like over here, like they still got some of it. You know what I mean? Like you go to like, it's like, yeah, you can go to Boston and you see the cobblestone streets and Ben Franklin's old pubs and stuff. But the reason that they stick out is because that's the only ones. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's so many like Colonial Williamsburg places that should be lousy with some of this shit. And it just ain't. Like you go to Colonial Williamsburg now, like it's cool to take the tours and stuff. But like all of that shit has been recreated, you know, and which I know some of that stuff, like their buildings suck because they made it out of mud and spit, but like whatever, like we ought to have castles.
Well, I was also just in Philadelphia, in the old city in Philadelphia, and it's wild because it's a complete mix of that. It's like some of the buildings, because, you know, Philadelphia is one of our historic cradles, too, in this country. And, like...
It's underrated as that, I think.
It's like people forget. But it's like, wasn't Philadelphia like our first ever capital?
That's where the Continental Congress was.
Right, yeah, right. So, like... But, so there's that shit there, too. But, like, in the old city of Philly, it's like... Some of that is still there, and it's super rad. There's like a 250-year-old pub that's not an operational pub anymore. It's just a preserved building, but they still got the sign on it and all that stuff. Across the street from a karaoke bar with a bunch of drunk bachelorettes in it or whatever. But and it's like a mix of that in that area, like new and old. And then also there's one where it's like it's just a big empty space that has a plaque on the ground that says, it's weird. It's almost like it commemorates our tendency to tear our history down because it's a plaque that says on this site stood the home of William Penn or whatever. But like it ain't there. Like we tore it down forever ago.
Yeah.
But they just didn't build nothing else there. So it's just a big hole in between buildings with a plaque on the ground. It's like, hey, if you could sit here and imagine for a second, William Penn's house used to be here. And it's like with that, it's like I don't want to do that. I kind of don't even really see the point.
There's no point.
Like, but so
like on golf courses,
at least they're trying something, I guess.
Like on golf courses, like pro golf courses and stuff, they'll put plaques down to commemorate. Like this is the spot Jack Nicklaus hit that 2-iron into whatever. That's cool, but like way different to just be like imagine the hat. Like because in that you're like, well, I can picture how hard this shot would have been or whatever. But you got to just
you could still have the plaque there, even if you put something else there in its place or whatever, you know, like a statue or something.
You put you know? But like,
I don't know.
It's, by the way, not to get, I know we don't get political, but like, is the reason that a lot of that, is it because of like overreaching government building codes and shit that we're just like, we got to get all this shit down. You know what I mean? Like we just won't let old things stand anymore.
No, actually, I think it's the opposite now. I think we went through a long, long time as a country where we were just like obsessed with being on the bleeding edge of modernity. So we just tore
New
everything
hits.
down to put new up because that's what we're a young, new, exciting country. So it's like we be about new, and we didn't really have much of a history for because we were so young, and all the Indians was dead.
Right.
So it's like I think it was mostly that. So we just didn't give a shit about it, and now we do. Like there's a government agency. There's like
all the stuff we had reminded them of England because it was built the same way. So they were like, "Fuck this new country. We don't want this."
What's the Historical Preservation Society? There's like government agencies and nonprofits and stuff. They're like if it's an old building now, it's the government that stop. You can't just tear it down.
Right.
The government will keep you from doing it. Like, because I used to with the DOE, I used to work with communities trying to do renewable energy upgrades, like solar panels and stuff. And one of the biggest problems they'd run into is like, well, you can't do a solar panel on this building. It's from 1832, and it's on the list of historic sites. So, it's like it's government bureaucracy now that actually protects the ones that are protected. But anyway, all right. Let's so yeah.
Where you gonna be?
It's I don't even know. Let's see. Next weekend, I got 2 weekends in Washington State coming up. Tacoma and Spokane. The aforementioned Caleb Simon will be with me on both of those.
Nice.
So you're in for a good time, those people. And then after that, Santa Barbara. And then Utah, speaking of Mormons, come see me, Mormons. I'm not the one who said that y'all were raping and pillaging all over the place. That was Corey. I agreed a little bit. But anyway, I'll see y'all there, Utah. And then on from there, all kinds of places, TraeCrowder.com. Make a hit.
We love Corey.com. Subscribe. It's a bunch of bonus stuff, and it's fun. And stay fancy, motherfuckers.
Skew.
Here's Lydia Lovelace.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Royalty and rednecks are alike. They both like cutting and picking fights. Biscuits and baked beans where they don't belong. Sit on down with Corey and Trae and learn some fancy shit today. We'll laugh a little even when they're wrong. They'll take you to a magical place where if you call someone a cunt, nobody cares. They keep it debonair at putting on airs, putting on airs, putting on airs.